Hello and welcome again. I am here today with another S-Class time attack build, and my car is going to be the BMW 2002 Turbo. This is one of my favorite, I would have to say, lower class cars. It makes a great car in the lower classes. I've never really built it up to S-Class. So I'm going to see what this car will be able to do. First off, we're going to have to change the engine because I highly doubt that we're going to get this thing up to S-Class with the base engine. So we have a couple of choices. I can tell you off the bat I'm not going for the Turbo Rally engine because it's an awkward engine to build with. We have the 2-liter i4, the 5.7 V8, which goes in just about everything, and we have the 3.2-liter i6. All of these engines are heavier than the standard engine, but I think I am going to go with the i6 just because it brings us up in PI quite a bit. That way to make sure we can actually get it to the top of S-Class. And I think I'm going to stick the turbo on it. Adds 152 horsepower, so we're not even through B class and we already have almost 500 horsepower, so this car is probably going to have quite a bit of power, but since this is a time attack and the course has quite a few nasty corners in it, I think I'm going to try and build this to be a more handling car than a speed car, because having the speed through the corners is what's going to make this car great. Stick some race tires on there. Now, what are we going to get for tire size? 245s on the front. It's a little small, but I've seen worse. And 265s on the rear isn't great, but at the same time we're not going to have ridiculous power amounts, I don't believe, in this car. So it should be relatively, those tire sizes should be relatively good. I mean, we're not going to be having the likes of like 600-700 horsepower going through the rear wheels for it to try and deal with. I mean, we're almost in S-Class now and we haven't even touched any of the engine bits. We are going to have to throw some engine bits on it, though, to make it up to the top of S-Class, since we're just now entering S-Class and almost all of the handling parts are on it. It's going to be a relatively light car, too. I'm going to throw the roll cage in just to stiffen up the chassis and give us that little bit of extra handling. And with weight reduction, it takes out 350 pounds, so we're down to 2,100 pounds, which is pretty good going. Turbo will add about 170 horsepower, which will get us almost to the top of S-Class. I'm just noticing the power figures. I did not expect to be getting that much power out of this car. I will stick the race exhaust on because, as you see, it did take weight out. It took considerable amount of weight out, actually, which is always nice. Let's see, can we fit the camshafts on? Yes, we can. Now let's hope that we can stick the flywheel on and keep it in S-Class, and we can. So, 2,100 pounds and 737 horsepower, 550 foot-pounds of torque. This is a little bit more power than I expected to get out of the BMW, and I'm a little scared to see how it's going to fare with the small tires. And we are here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit to see how fast the 2002 Turbo can go around this circuit. Remember last time out we had the 2017 Ford GT to set a benchmark, and that set a time of 50.6, so we'll see how the BMW fares. And off the line it is immediately into wheel spin, but as it shifts up through the gears, it's not as bad as I thought. It doesn't spin the wheels up crazily, even in second, only in first it seems like off the line. Oh, but it doesn't stop. Okay, the brakes are not great, but it has relatively good traction out of the corners. I have to say, I'm impressed so far. It turns in, and you don't get massive amounts of wheel spin. You can get some wheel spin if you hit a bump or something, or you're more on the throttle, but it seems to be fairly balanced, and I'm actually really surprised at how nice this car is driving at the moment, except for that little incident going to turn 2 at the brakes, and you can't really be full throttle around that corner, or it just wants to go sideways. Now let's see if I can actually get the braking right for this next corner. First lap was a 55, which it's a little slow, but we did have a bit of... I outbraked myself a little bit into that last corner there, and the final corner I had a bit of sideways antics going on, but I'm surprised with the amount of power going through the rear wheels of this car that I'm not getting as much oversteer as I had expected. I expect this thing to be sort of horrible to drive just because of the amount of power. I figured it would be sliding all over the place and I wouldn't really have much control, and there we go with the spin. Yep. You can't really be flat out around that corner at all. It just can't handle it. So around most of the corners it's fine. I mean, you can get a little bit of understeer front, but not much at all. Nothing to really worry about. It's easily fixed just by correcting your line and easing off the throttle. But the oversteer around the last corner is what's killing this car. It's not fun, that last corner. It just doesn't have the grip to carry any speed around that corner. I mean, you get past the actual apex of the corner and you think, oh, well, I can go to full throttle now, we're close to it. And you start edging towards full throttle and you realize it was a bad idea. Like through here, most cars would be full throttle, but you just can't. You have to wait and wait and wait. And hopefully we can make up some more time, because we're still quite down on the GT. That lap was a 54, and we need to get down into the 50s. I think what's letting this car down at the moment is just the fact that, for one, the brakes aren't great. I was expecting for a 2,100 pound car, so on the lighter side. I mean, it's not as light as you could get it, but I was expecting that, you know, we'd have some decent brakes and some decent power figures. Running wide onto the grass, that was a better lap. That was a 52, and if I wouldn't have got that little bit of oversteer that caught me out and put me onto the grass, that could have been an insanely quick lap. It could have almost challenged the GT. I don't think it would have gotten into the 50s, but I'm thinking it probably would have got to the 51s, which is pretty respectable for what I'm asking this car to do. I mean, we're putting a 1973 car around a track with 700 horsepower, and it wasn't meant for this much power at all. Try and be a little cautious around this final corner, coming onto this last lap, so I don't get that same oversteer in that same spot, and we're around in a circle again. Luckily, we didn't really spin completely out. We sort of compromised this last lap, though, because we're not going the same speed coming onto this corner. So I don't think, unless I can pull off a miracle, that we're going to be going any faster. I don't know what it is about that last corner coming onto the straight. I don't know what it is, if it's just the way the track is cambered or what it is, but it really likes to upset this car, and I've noticed through playing the career, when you come around this last corner with cars, some of them do not like that little bit of elevation change, the camber that you can see right here. Cars really don't like that, and I'm not sure why. And this is definitely not a quicker lap. Our best lap was a 52.4, which I have to say surprises me a little bit. I wasn't totally convinced that we were going to be going much faster than the GT. If the car would have had a little less horsepower to go with, or bigger tires, I would say, is the main concern. It doesn't have the tire widths or the grip. And if the brakes were a little bit better, then I would say this probably would have been able to beat it, if not come extremely close. But as it stands, it didn't go faster. We got a 52, what was it, 52.4. So the BMW will go in obviously second.